Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're trying something a little different and hopefully really useful for you. We're going to explore learning English through, well, the everyday act of cooking.
Exactly. And what's so interesting here is how a familiar activity, something you might do anyway, can become this really powerful tool for, language learning. You're not just memorizing words in isolation, you're actually connecting them to real actions, smells, tastes, sensory experiences.
That's what grabbed me about this approach. So we're focusing on a pretty simple vegetable stir-fry recipe today. And what's really clever, I think, is that we have access to the same cooking conversation, but spoken at 3 different speeds: slow, medium, and natural. It feels like a built-in way to kind of train your ear step by step.
Yeah, that multi-speed approach is it's really key. It lets you first catch the individual words, maybe the tricky ones, at that slower pace. Then as the speed picks up, you start hearing how they flow together in, more natural speech. It's all about building that listening comprehension gradually.
Okay, sounds good. So let's dive into the slow speed dialogue first. It kicks off with a really simple greeting. "Hi, Alex. What are we cooking today?"
Right.
And the reply, "Hello, Sarah. Today we're making a simple vegetable stir-fry." Just such a basic, common way to start talking about food, isn't it?
Absolutely. And notice how direct it is. Uncomplicated language. These are really the fundamental building blocks for everyday English chats. That simplicity makes it much easier to follow along and, importantly, to remember.
Makes sense. Then, of course, the essential question for any recipe: what ingredients do we need? And we get this clear list: carrots, bell peppers, broccoli, soy sauce, and garlic. Pretty standard stuff, things you can easily picture.
Yeah, and what's useful there is that these are also really common food words. You'll see them, when you go grocery shopping or look at a menu. Learning them like this, in the context of actually using them in a recipe, really helps them stick.
Right. Then we move into the action words. Let's start by chopping the vegetables, and then it gets more specific. First, peel the carrots and slice them thinly, and cut the bell peppers into strips. It's all these verbs, isn't it? Peeling, slicing, chopping, cutting, the things you actually do.
Exactly. Think about how those verbs are tied directly to a physical action. That connection, word and deed, it's a really effective way for your brain to learn and hang on to new vocabulary. It's not just abstract hearing, you're imagining it or maybe even doing it later.
Okay, then we get to the actual cooking part. Let's heat some oil in the pan. Then saute the garlic until it's fragrant. It's a good one. And then add the vegetables. That word saute, that's useful. And fragrant, well, that really brings your sense of smell right into the kitchen, doesn't it?
It does. And fragrant is fascinating how language lets us describe these sensory things. It implies a pleasant smell, which is key. And saute, like you said, it's a specific technique, that quick cooking in just a little bit of hot fat.
The instructions continue. Stir fry for about 5 minutes, then add soy sauce. That's the core method, step by step. And it wraps up with that lovely sensory comment: "Smells amazing. I can't wait to taste it." You get the anticipation, the enjoyment.
Yeah, that exclamation, "smells amazing." It just highlights how naturally we use English to talk about our senses, our feelings, especially with food. It's a phrase you'll definitely hear a lot.
Now, the interesting part is we also have this exact same conversation, but at a medium speed, and then again at a natural pace. And it's actually quite revealing to hear how the rhythm changes, the flow of the language. Even though the words are pretty much identical, it shows you how spoken English really sounds.
Right, and this is where your listening skills really get a workout. You start noticing how words kind of link together, where the natural pauses fall, how the speaker's intonation, the ups and downs in their voice can add meaning. It really bridges that gap between hearing separate words and understanding connected, flowing speech.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit on some key language takeaways from all that. We've touched on a few, but let's try and solidify them. Useful vocabulary first. That term stir-fry itself.
Right, so stir-fry, in simple terms, it's a cooking method. You cook ingredients really quickly by tossing them in a small amount of very hot oil, usually in a special pan called a wok. But any pan works. It's super common, very efficient, especially for vegetables.
Got it. Then the verb saute. We mentioned it, but let's define it clearly.
Okay, so to saute something, it means cooking it quickly in just a little bit of hot fat. Could be oil, could be butter. usually over medium-high heat, and often you're stirring it or tossing it around as it cooks.
Okay. And the adjective fragrant.
Fragrant. Yeah, it just means something has a pleasant smell, often quite a strong one. In cooking, you'll usually hear it when spices or herbs, or things like garlic and onions, start releasing that lovely aroma when they hit the heat.
Makes sense. Moving on to a cutting verb, slice.
To slice just means to cut something into thin, flat pieces, like slicing a cucumber or a loaf of bread. Simple as that.
And the last vocab word, peel.
To peel something is just removing the outer layer, the skin or the rind. You peel an orange, you peel a potato.
And in our recipe, you peel the carrots.
Exactly.
Okay, now for some really useful phrases that came up. The first one, what's on the menu?
Yeah, what's on the menu? It's just a really casual, common way to ask what the plan is for a meal. You know, what someone's planning to cook, or maybe what a restaurant is offering that day. Very versatile.
Handy. Another one is, let's get started.
Let's get started. Super simple, super direct. It's just a great way to signal that it's time to begin doing something together. Initiates action.
Okay, and the last phrase for now, toss in the vegetables.
Toss in, right. It basically means to add something, usually to a mixture or a pan, with a kind of quick, light throwing motion. You often hear it with salads, like toss the salad, or here, adding the veggies to the stir-fry pan. Just means add them in quickly.
Right, and to help you really get the hang of these, our sources also give some example sentences. Just quickly, for stir-fry, I often stir-fry chicken and vegetables for dinner. For saute, she sauteed the mushrooms with butter and herbs. Makes sense. For fragrant, the fragrant spices fill the entire kitchen. For slice, could you slice the tomatoes, please? And peel. Remember to peel the potatoes before boiling them.
Yeah, seeing them in those slightly different contexts really helps reinforce how you can use them. Shows their versatility.
Exactly. Okay, now let's try putting some of these together. You've got a short practice dialogue. How about I start?
Sure, go for it.
Do you enjoy cooking?
Yeah, I do, especially quick recipes like, stir fries. They're easy.
What's your favorite ingredient to use?
Ooh, tough one. But I think I love using garlic. It just adds so much flavor, makes everything smell so fragrant.
Agreed. Garlic definitely makes a difference. Okay, well, let's get started on dinner then. What's on the menu tonight?
Let's do that simple vegetable stir fry we were talking about. Why don't you peel the carrots while I slice the peppers, then we can just toss them in the pan together.
Sounds perfect.
See, what's cool about that little exchange is how easily those words and phrases just slot into a normal conversation about cooking. It's not just about knowing the definition, but actually using them naturally in context.
Absolutely. Now, finally, just to broaden things out a bit for our Fluency Builder section,
Yeah.
we have a few extra useful phrases, but these ones are for the gym.
Oh, okay. A change of scene.
Yeah, not directly related to cooking, but great for expanding your everyday English in different situations. You might hear things like, how many sets do we have left?
Common one.
Or, I'm going to increase the weight. Also, can you spot me on this? Meaning, watch me while I lift. And maybe, I'm feeling a bit sore today.
Yeah, those are definitely standard phrases you'd hear in a fitness environment. And it highlights another good point, learning vocabulary related to your own hobbies, your interests.
Yeah.
That's another fantastic way to make language learning feel more relevant and, frankly, more enjoyable for you.
Great point. So, as you're maybe thinking about your next meal, perhaps you will consider trying that simple vegetable stir-fry. And while you're prepping, while you're cooking, try actually using some of the English words and phrases we talked about today. Say them out loud.
It really is all about that active practice. The more you use these in real situations, even if you're just talking to yourself in the kitchen, the more natural they'll feel. Don't be shy about it.
Definitely. And listen back to those dialogues, the slow, medium, fast ones. See how your understanding improves each time you listen. Remember, every little bit of interaction, every attempt you make, it all helps you move forward on your English learning journey.
Which, leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. Think about other routines you have, other hobbies, brushing your teeth, commuting, working out. How could you intentionally weave a little bit of English learning into those activities too, making it part of your life, not a separate chore? That can really, really make a difference.